Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
What the heck is going on with this? We're just going for it. I think the best way to start this off is just by kind of saying the relationship we have with you guys.
Sure.
In a sense of, I was in the gym, didn't have my AirPods, big mistake. I have to have my focus,
huge.
right? And you guys know this story. Got Rory on my lap, eating my stuff, and it just hit me like a rock. Tanner, you know all these incredible people. Use your talents, not for yourself, but for other people. Spread that message. And so, it was the first people I called, you guys. And we couldn't be more honored to have you guys as the first
So
guests.
glad to be
We
here.
Likewise.
truly love you.
This is an honor on both ends.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes.
So excited.
So yeah. What's the topic?
So as we all know, this is the Valyou Podcast. You know, YOU. How
Yes.
can we and you guys add value to the communities that we're living in?
Yeah.
And as Tanner said, you know, as we were thinking about this concept that we wanted to address and start and share, you guys are one of the first people that popped into our mind of, you know, a couple, a strong, powerful, God-fearing couple that adds value everywhere you go.
Oh,
Thank you.
And so our topic today is just how do you and we add value to the community that we're in? Whether that's in the workplace,
That's
in
beautiful.
your personal life, you know, whatever that is for you. How do you feel like you add value?
yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
start off?
Hi.
So,
I'm
we
gonna.
should probably give their
I'm
name.
gonna introduce who I am, and
Yes.
I'm gonna start off by saying my better half is my lovely wife, Deja Renee Godot.
Hey, everyone.
I am Nehemiah Godot. We are just tremendously blessed to have the relationship we have with both of you.
Yeah.
And that is what caused us to come all the way from California. And so I want to say
Utah.
California knows how to party, okay? And California. But we are blessed to be a blessing. And so I want my wife to kind of start off
Okay.
with her definition of what value means and, you know, everything that we do as well as everything we plan on doing.
Okay. Well, as far as what we do currently and have been doing for a while, Nehemiah has been doing it longer in ministry-wise. We work with the youth. They're our future, and to me, that's what value is. If we're not preparing them and helping them, then we're really going to be a disadvantage to ourselves later on. So literally, every week, we're spending time with the kids. And I have a background in education, so I spent 11 years in different school districts working with underprivileged and overprivileged kids. Like, that was my focus, after school, during school, all of that. So transitioning into full-time ministry, that wasn't as difficult, but it was a little different. It's a little bit more intimate. You're gonna get a 3:00 in the morning phone call from a child sometimes, and you need to be there for them, be able to be there as far as prayer. Hey, I'm stuck somewhere. Can you help me out? Send them something. Just be basically an extra parent. Like, we didn't birth these children, but they are our kids.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. And I think one of the greatest statements that I've heard from Art of War, a book that I've read once or twice, was that if you can give me your children, I can take your country. The reason why I focus on young people, even though I feel like I'm called to so many things, is because nobody seems to really be focusing on our youth anymore. And our youth are in a place now where the world is crazier than I think it's ever been.
Yeah.
Morally, spiritually, ethics are just kind of, thrown around. But the word itself, it's hard to find right now, real ethics. And so that's where my focus is. And once I got married to my wife, she was like the perfect piece. And so we're in what I consider to be a very dangerous part of California or Sacramento. And we have been what I consider to be training up warriors, training up soldiers in the army of God. And like I said, creating what I consider to be valuable pieces for the future the United States of America and around the world. I believe that I'm sparking the minds, or we are sparking the minds of some of the greatest leaders to come. I have some of the greatest people around me, and I just love what I see coming right now, what we have pretty much in the pipeline. But what I really love is the word value. And I believe that's not a word you hear enough, because most people devalue so much. And devalue has become a big part of America, or just the world itself.
Yeah.
We devalue marriage. A lot of people devalue marriage. A lot of people devalue companionship, relationships as a whole. They devalue, what I consider to be the call on their life, who they really are. They don't value yourself. I think low self-esteem and depression and all of that is an all-time high, because we don't put the same value on ourselves that we should in this life. And you're unique. You're special. You're worthy. You're worth a lot. But the world will try to devalue you and tell you who you aren't and where you fell short or what you haven't accomplished. And I believe that in this world, we need to talk about value more.
And it's almost like, I think we talk about, and I'm not contradicting you, so what I'm about to say doesn't contradict, but I'm just going at it from another angle, in that, like, we do, I feel like, talk about value a lot, but it's like, what's the cheapest? What's the best value?
Okay.
What's the best use of your time?
Okay.
If you work harder, then you can get more monetary value, right? If you go to school for longer, then you'll have more value to give to your family, and or if you work longer away from your family, you have more value. But the traditional sense of value has been, well, I'll sidetrack a little bit, sidestep, in the sense of I have this belief, and we've talked about this a little bit, of like, any time where there's such focus and perversion of a certain topic or meaning or people or religion or whatever it is, it's got to mean it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically with value, to your point, I can't tell you one time in a public learning space where we actually talked about what value meant outside of church.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know I hate to say it, but even in church, at times, there's a perverted way of what value means. Well, if you spend more time in the sanctuary or your Sunday school, then you're gonna learn what it's all about.
Sure.
Anyway, that really struck me.
I wanted to just jump on one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
also bring it a little closer.
There's a statement that I hear a lot of people make, that people know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. So when you said something, kind of sparked that in me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we know how much it costs to spend this time away from family. We know how much we can monetize it, we can categorize it, or there's a numerical value to it. But that's the price of it. Like when you were saying discounts or savings, or like even today when we were booking the hotel, like we ended up getting like 40% off or 46% off because we went through the right site, and it was like perfect, like
the best value.
It was the best value. So I just wanted to kind of chime in and say that I do believe there's a difference between the term, or the word price and value.
Olivia, from your perspective, you're in a career where it's almost like both terms of value, right? You, in a sense of like, if you work harder and longer, you have more value to bring home.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work harder and longer, you give more value to the patient.
Right.
In your medical field, how do you toe that line between both of them? Speaking of, I might take a little asthma break. I'll be right back. But yeah, they don't want to hear me wheezing for an hour and a half.
No, that's a really good question. And something that is really hard for me in this field specifically is it's a business still. And to me, like, healthcare it's almost like, have you ever heard the saying of like, you know, the church is a hospital for the spirit?
I have. Yes, you hear it a lot.
And so I think everybody's entitled to healthcare and everybody's entitled to spiritual care.
Definitely.
And at no cost.
Right.
You know, like that should just be like a base, and that's just like my personal opinion, but that should just be like a basic human right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me in the medical field when, you know, people don't seek care because they're worried about the price.
Right.
They don't have insurance and so they don't go to the doctor, and then it just spirals.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you lose things that you wouldn't have lost had you had the opportunity or the right price
Right.
to, like, it's like placing value or putting a price on somebody's life.
On somebody's
Or
spirit,
somebody's
soul.
soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that's right. And so I know
It
that's going to
isn't.
be really hard
It
for me
isn't.
moving forward in this field.
Yeah.
And that's just like one, you know, small aspect of the whole world is like healthcare. But it's definitely, to me, more important that I'm adding value to the patient's life rather
Yes.
than I'm adding value to the hospital that I work at.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I don't want to answer to some, you know, power that be
Right. Right.
when
right.
there's a person in front of me that needs that. And I think that's like focusing on the one.
Yeah.
And, you know, on the religious or spiritual aspect of it, like that's what Christ did his whole life.
Yes, he
his
did.
whole earthly ministry was, you know, finding the one person.
Yeah. Leaving the 99 for that one.
That one
Yeah,
sheep, you know?
Definitely.
And so that, in my career has kind of helped me understand that even better.
Yeah.
Of adding value to the one person that's in front of me.
Yeah.
Not worrying about I have to save the world, or I have to change the world,
Yeah.
or I have to change the healthcare system, or whatever.
But
It's like,
knowing you're changing the world with that one life,
Mm-hmm.
because you're changing that person's world.
right, and we all have our own
That's heavy.
world. And that's been such like a mind-blowing concept to me.
Wow.
That, like, we all are in our own world.
Yeah.
We live in the world,
Right.
but we all have our world. And worlds collide, and when one world has value,
Yeah.
then that world, however big it is, whether it's a person or a family or a neighborhood or a church or whatever, that's so much more surface area to cover the world with.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book called How to Make a Storyteller's Brand.
Wow.
It talks about the idea of, you know, if you want to have a successful business, you have to your brand or whatever you're selling has to sell a story, right? And it's something that I've been really struggling with recently. How do I, one, build my business, but two, provide for my family? How do you toe that line between monetary value and like familial value, and then in between, obviously you have spiritual or whatever, but something that they stress in the book is like the reason that stories are so successful, like name anything else that can hold your attention for hours on end. I can't. I mean, even scripture. I mean, it's just bunches of stories. It's not like
You can watch a 3-hour movie, but
Right.
I can't sit down and read the Bible for 3 hours or whatever.
I've tried. I feel like there's melatonin in the scripture sometimes.
Oh, I like that. That's funny. Yeah.
And even in the book, they were saying that sounds are told in the story, and that's what makes music. Or music that is told in, I don't.
Yeah,
Take
it's a
it what you
sound.
will,
Right.
right?
I hear you.
And
It's the story that makes sound turn into music.
right,
Yeah.
right.
There it is.
And so like with the company that I'm working with right now, the biggest thing is how do we let the customer be the hero of their story? And that really struck me with what you're saying about we all have our world. We're all in our own world. And in the book it said you can be the most selfless person out there, but the world still revolves around you. You're still reacting to the world. The world is doing things, and you have to either take it in stride or not. And it's up to you to react. And so how do we add value to others in their lives who we don't know what their world looks like, but it's our job to make sure that their world is put together.
Yeah.
And it could be that their world is really small at that time. Man, there's been many times in my history, and I know you guys as well, and you can speak to it as much as you like, but where my world is very small. It takes that one person to make that world so much bigger.
Yeah. Rory.
Rory has his own little world behind us. But Nee, I feel inspired to. Do you have a story like that? Not to put you on the spot.
No, I'm ready. I'm always ready. I just wanted to clarify a little bit. Okay, so ask the question one more time.
Yeah.
And then boom.
When was your world small?
Oh man.
And like, how did someone else make that bigger?
Yeah. I actually have a personal friend, okay, who challenged me in a way I've never been challenged, okay? So, like I said, growing up as a pastor's son, the church really becomes your life. And I really was going to stay in just kind of like my father's shadow, if you will, my whole life, because I felt safe there. I felt, I felt like a big fish in a small pond, and so
you like the small world.
So the smallness, right?
Right.
Because we're only talking about a church that, not super, 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 super famous or, one of the churches you see in the headlines or,
Sure.
Something like that. But a ministry that was still, doing the work. So I had a friend of mine. He was kind of introduced to my world as I was trying to like save his life. Okay. He realistically impacted me while I was trying to save him. Okay. He came to my life already pretty much successful from a world point of view, but spiritually broken. So I knew these very hardworking, if you will, people who had no self-esteem. They were very insecure people, morally broken as well. And so they were around me, and then this one person was the first person to say yes to like me counseling or helping them and he said something to me, T. He said, "You're so much bigger than this. You're so much more valuable than where you are right now. Like the world needs to see you and not in your dad's shadow." And even till this moment, I still very much so honor my mother and father because I believe that is one of the first, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Commandments with a promise.
Sure.
Yeah.
And covenants,
Yep.
right? And I'm really big on covenant now because I understand what covenant is.
Right.
And
What is it? What's you?
oh my God, it's something that your life would be put on the line for if you were in any other country but this one.
Yeah. Wow.
You break a covenant outside of here, your life is
Wow.
in jeopardy.
Wow.
Do not keep your word. Do not keep your bond. Do not keep your vows. Boom. And so I believe we take it lightly in America because it's like, the land of the free, the home of the brave. A lot of people are brave to jump into relationships, but so quick to jump out.
Right.
And I don't like that. So that's where I see a lot of things right now where people are not really honoring, I guess the word is honoring their word or honoring their covenants. And it's because we see a lot of what I consider to be a lack of accountability all around us. Nobody seems to be held to the standard anymore. It's like, we're okay. We'll accept your life the way it is. Like, you don't have to come up to a higher standard. You can just be way down there at the bottom.
We value you.
Yeah, we value you not having any standards.
Right.
And I really, that it gets under my skin.
Why? If I can put this on the table as I go take care of a dog again, why do you think this is? Like, especially from a biracial perspective.
Sure.
I can say from our perspective why I think it is. And I think we will talk about that. Why do you think it is that we've gone from this, like, let's just say it, baby boomer mentality, right? Work, and then you can relax, to, well, and there's a lot of value within that, to do whatever the heck you want.
I'm entitled to do what I want when I
Entitlement.
want.
Daddy's
You said it. Entitlement.
Daddy's gonna get you a car. Don't worry about it. Daddy's gonna
pay for your college. Don't worry about it, or whatever. Like,
you know what? Don't even worry about, you know, eating. Like, you don't have to earn it. We don't have to give service. We don't have to do all these things because we did that thing.
Yeah.
In the past.
Right. My biggest word is greed. Greed.
Generational greed, or
Oh man. And the reason why I have to say that is because you have so many people that are just like, they have their definition of free. You know, I'm free to be me. I'm free to, you know, be whatever I want to be. And you could come from a strong family or whatever and not value your family and be like, well, I'll throw away everything you guys have ever done for me in a blink of an eye, because I have that ability. And I feel like America deals with greed in a different way. You know, freedom is already kind of based in a little bit of it, you know, because, you know, you see how prosperity has changed our country, right? Everybody pretty much has the ability to buy or get certain things. And because of that, the entitlement comes. Like I said, when we were talking last night, it really meant so much to me. Something you said after your trip to the Philippines, your mission trip to the Philippines, which was that you came home and you realized how much people were living on that they did not need. And that blessed me tremendously, because I think of that we have been spoiled. And the only people who act like how we act are spoiled. Children that don't really understand what they're doing. So the lack of accountability. Nobody has to be accountable for anything. You can just be whatever you want to be. And if I was to talk out about it, if I was to say anything about it, if I was to correct you, or if I was to try to lead you or help you in a certain way, like maybe that's not the right perspective. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it, or attitude, or whatever it was. I am now a part of what I consider cancel culture.
Yeah. For
just being a guide or somebody to tell you how to, you know, truly
or
build your
with
life.
Perspective.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, like, a lot of what we're talking about, I feel like develops in the stages of youth.
Yes.
That sense of entitlement, that sense of, you know, the world is my oyster, which isn't necessarily bad, but it can lead to complacency. It can lead to greed.
Yes.
I think the difference is the world can be someone's oyster, but you have to earn that oyster.
Yeah.
Right. It's
right. You have to go.
Go get it.
Right. You have to be vigilant and going to go find it.
Daddy can't get you that oyster.
Right.
Right. So I'm curious what your perspective, Deja, is with your experience with the youth and education and all of that. Like, how
That's
do
a good
you
question.
Oh my God, education right now, babe.
People, like,
It
how do you
makes me
teach the
sick.
youth
So I really want to know.
Man.
that?
I work more so with the young girls.
Okay.
So when I'm talking to them, it's about, you know, knowing the worth of you, your body, your mind. You're not just something that can just be, you know, tossed around. So you need to know that it's not based on what you see on social media. All that stuff, it can be superficial. What you wear, what you buy, all that type of stuff. Like, they put so much emphasis on it because they see, you know, different things going on. I've even had little girls like look at mine and like, oh, I want that. But you have to work for certain things. I didn't just get everything I want. I had to work my butt off. I don't come from a silver spoon family. I don't come from, you know, my family worked hard, and they're, I want to say, middle class. But even the middle class in America now is not the top of the world type of thing. They had to work literally for every single thing. And my parents instilled that in me. My mom instilled that in me. I still had to become an independent woman and work for everything so I wouldn't have to rely on a man. Even when I got married, I still had to hold my own. So I feel like your question earlier, where does that entitlement come from? I think it goes back to parenting. I know, like, when we parent our kids, yeah, they're going to have everything, but they're going to work their butts off for it. They're not just going to be given. Just like that's how he was raised. He has the world, but his parents were tough on him as far as working. yeah, he had to do chores that I had never even thought about having to do. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But we just had different upbringings, but our parents still both instilled in us, okay, you're going to work hard for everything that you've been given. That type of thing. So when I talk to the little girls, and some of them aren't that little, some are 17, 18 years old, that's what I tell them. You have to work for it. Go to school. Even if you're not going to go to school, make a plan, start a business, but don't think you're just going to, look cute.
Right.
Your beauty's only going to get you but so far, and usually it's not the road you want to go down. So that's what I talk about with them.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback because I wanted to kind of touch on the education system. T, like right now, if you turn on the internet right now, you'll see these kids doing TikTok challenges that just completely disrespect the teacher, or they're beating up teachers. Or, it's hard to hold a classroom together nowadays.
Disrespectful man.
So disrespectful.
You little disrespectful guy.
And I just, I see that parenting.
It's almost like a challenge.
It is.
How can we
for
be
sure.
more respectful than the last TikToker?
Exactly. How can you push that envelope? And I believe that it's going to shift the focus back to parenting.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's where we lost our kids. It was at our homes. It wasn't at the schools. It wasn't at the gym, the basketball gyms, or the baseball field, or
Well, the thing is, students are with the teachers about 8 hours a day. So they're spending more time with their teachers than they are with their parents, but it's still the parents' responsibility to instill certain morals and values in them. So then when they get to school, they know to have respect and honor that teacher and not just do whatever they want. It's not technically the teacher's responsibility to teach them that. It's just supposed to, you're supposed to be an addition. You're supposed to add on, but not do everything from scratch for them, because that's a lot to do. 28 or 25 students for one teacher, you can't. There's no way in the world you can teach them how to, be valuable and respect and honor. You can only add to what your parents have already taught you. And if you go there and your family is broken, you haven't been taught that, it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm basically a babysitter.
And I want to build on that. I think also it's two things, and I hope these points connect. It's one, follow the money trail, and two, follow the traditions.
Okay.
For instance, we love our parents dearly, and I would say that we don't necessarily. How do I say this without being rude? We don't necessarily identify with the Gen Z postmodern, even though that's our age group, demographic.
Yeah.
And with our parents, so sidestep again. I'm laying the foundation for a point, but a statistic was out today about the great resignation that's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
There's so many people
Yeah.
not working, and a lot. It's very easy to say, oh, they're all on welfare. It's all because of COVID. Like they just don't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very easy argument to make. Do I think it's the whole argument? Absolutely not.
Right.
And then today I learned, and I think also a lot of people want to find their own voice for the first time in a very long time. It's like a renaissance of the 21st century. And then on top of that, I just learned today that, like, apparently, I think it was some crazy statistic, like 30 or more % of those people that are not working were sick.
Wow.
Mentally or physically, and they didn't go back to work, not because they couldn't, or excuse me, not because they didn't want to, but because they literally couldn't. And COVID allowed this like reprieve to realize, holy cow, I'm so mentally sick, or I'm so physically sick, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then also with our parents, like, it was definitely a source of maybe not contention, but just like tense conversation. Something that I've talked to you guys counseled with before.
Sure.
Of, our parents. I'm not gonna say it's both. Honestly, you don't want to make Olivia work, do you? That's not what men do. You don't want to. If you really want to give her value, she needs to be at home. She needs to be taking care of the kids, doing the dishes, mopping the floors.
Yeah. Cleaning the toilets.
Cleaning the toilets.
Whoa.
And like literally today, it was Olivia. Like that's just not how we're gonna live our life.
Right.
And I think it's two. From my perspective, I think it's two really big issues. One, tradition, and that can be school tradition, where it's like kids need to go to school for 8 hours, and I'll be working for that 8 hours, and then we come home, there's no time to really teach those values. And also, they're sick and all that jazz. And I think also it's just so easy to write it off as if you're not carrying tradition, it's your fault. But I think tradition lends itself to habits, and habits can sometimes be really detrimental, especially to a society.
Yeah, bad.
Definitely.
And then you have kids who TikTok in school rather than learn anything.
Right.
That part. There's some kids that thrive being homeschooled, while the other ones are in an actual school and not doing a thing whatsoever.
I had the privilege. I mean, it wasn't at the time. It was kind of a what's the word? It was hard. It was definitely hard. I don't have the right word for it, but I did public school for half of my upbringing and then homeschool for the last half.
Okay.
A lot of it had to do with health, but it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Sure.
And I'm a huge advocate for homeschool from here on out.
Yes, me too.
I mean, you and I have had very extensive conversations of if that's even something we want to do. But I really do believe that there's no evidence to the contrary. Especially with, that just makes me sick. I think about kids doing TikTok in school. Like, that makes me so sick.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's a lot worse going on in public school or just school in general than just TikTok.
Well, and that's probably just a microcosm of...
Yeah.
There's bullying and there's drugs and there's verbal and whatever abuse.
The
And
sexual abuse.
Exactly. We were just talking about it with the school shootings. It's like, Dad, you're sending your kid off to school, and some of those parents don't have their kid to come home to now because they just sent them to get an education, and that was it. So we talked about homeschooling for our children. We just don't know in this era, or by the time they even go to school, by the time our kids are in high school, who knows how the world will look. So that's definitely something that's on the table because we know they'll be safe with us.
That shooting in, I think it was Michigan, most recently, kind of really hurt me because it was the parents' response to the situation.
I don't know what happened.
The parents kind of ran when they found out it was their son. They were dodging the police.
Whoa.
Because they're
because it was a student that was the shooter.
was
So
right.
the parents of the shooter.
And the parents,
it wasn't the victim.
No.
it was basically their statement, which said that they're more disappointed that their son got caught.
Whoa.
Like, you don't know in this day and age who your kids are going to school with and what their parents are teaching them at this point. And so just to know that they didn't mourn, they didn't send their heart out to the families of the victims. They realistically said, I'm more disappointed that you got caught. I mean, that broke my heart. And that's what I was saying today, because the bullying would make a kid who has access to weapons, ammo, feel like that has to be his response. If I can't defend myself with words because I'm not able to articulate the perfect response to make you tremble in your boots and leave me alone, I'm going to go get what I know you'll respect. Right. And that's where we are in education at this point, or not just in education, but in a lot of schools around the nation and the world. And I think that is horrible, to think that your kids aren't safe going to school anymore. When I was a kid, and I'm just going to put this out there, when I was a kid, we prayed before class. We did the Pledge of Allegiance, the American flag and the Christian flag, and we were taught morals, at home. And that's what and you had said something earlier, T, about the baby boomer kind of like transition in a way. I just really believe that there were so many people who were money hungry, right? Divorce was at an all-time high in this Gen Z, situation. Yeah. I don't know if divorce has been higher than it is right now.
Yeah,
I don't think there has been as many broken families as there are right now. I don't believe family has been under attack more than it is right now.
Absolutely.
I think there was Elon Musk that just said that we need to start having babies. like the world stopped having children in a sense. But people don't value being a parent like they used to. And you can see it. You can just see it. You know, if you valued it, a lot of the baby boomers stayed together. I know this was toxic, and we found out that a lot of it is toxicity, that a lot of families did stay together just for the children. A lot of families endured.
It's like glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they endured it for the upbringing or the raising of their kids. And
You can bring it closer, by the way.
Okay.
You can move it, yeah.
and I believe that was what family is. Family and love, okay? Love, the scripture says, covers a multitude of sin. Perfect love casts out fear. And so I believe in family, you have to stick together. I believe that, the biggest issue that we've seen is that most people are like, I'm getting out of the covenant because I don't feel happy enough.
In your ministry, right?
I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying that in the world today.
Got it.
In marriage in general.
In marriage in general, I was talking about divorce being so high because people, as soon as I'm not as happy as I thought I was going to be, I'm out. Like, I'm leaving. And America's made it so easy to get out of the covenant or out of the family. And so I believe that that's part of an attack on our future.
Yeah.
The fact that education systems aren't really educating our kids anymore, more indoctrinating them. Mm-hmm. It's an issue for me. I do believe that, like you were saying, follow the money trail. Like, the money's not going to our kids.
No.
No.
It's going almost everywhere else but to them. And they're making you force your way into education in a way.
Yeah.
You'd have to really want to pursue education to get it. Like, it's not something that we're just going to make sure you do it because we want a full, like, country of intelligent people. We want a country full of intelligent people. So we're going to educate them. We're going to give them that. It's almost like they want the country to be ignorant. And I kind of see that in that, money trail you're talking about.
I mean, the bill that I always promised myself I wouldn't get political on this.
Sure.
podcast,
I'm not trying.
No. But like, it really goes on topic with that in the sense of, I'll be honest, I don't really lean one way or the other. I think my opinion is everybody's corrupt.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. It could be naive. Rory, hey, sir, thank you. You're corrupt too.
You're so cute.
But I was really excited for one of the things that was on one of the bills, which was free community college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Community college was something that was, it got me to where I am today, and I was really grateful for it.
Same here.
Right. My brother has a PhD, and he attributes a lot of that to community college. I think community college is incredible. Yeah. And technical college too. Right. And I would love to have you tell that story about like having them change your major rather than. That was one of the first things that was off the bill immediately. No, we can't do money for that. That's not going to work. And it's follow the money trail. Right. I honestly don't believe it was had a lot to do with politics. I just think it has a lot to do with follow the other money trail, because if universities don't get theirs, then they just have a lot more power than community colleges, and it truly to this day makes me sick that wasn't passed, because I'm looking at other countries and that is one of the things that's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, say what you will about government spending, but my dad always taught me, if you are going to spend money as a government, you do it on the people that are coming up. Right. Roads, train tracks, all these other things are great, but like, if you don't put it into your community and into the rising generation, no one's going to know how to make those roads and train tracks.
Exactly.
And it just, to what your point, follow the money.
Yeah.
Like, we're the only country that doesn't offer free medical and free education. Other countries
And that's
do
something
it.
that's close to us too, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're terrified to turn 26.
Oh, I never think about
That's
that.
the truth.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we almost didn't get married because of that.
Really?
Yeah,
Can you
truly.
Never knew
talk
that.
more about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
lot.
yeah.
I think about that's probably the biggest thing I think about every day
Wow.
is medical insurance, and I essentially have 4 years to get my hoo-ha in shape. And
Hoo-ha?
I was gonna say
That was a
I was gonna
wrong
say
word.
a curse
Not
word.
that one.
That was your
I was gonna say a
wrong
curse word, and that's the
word.
first.
Shiz?
Yeah.
You shiz together.
Okay, cool.
Shiz,
That is better than who.
That's awful. That
Absolutely good.
It's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, no, it's terrifying. It's truly terrifying, and I don't really have all the answers. And the answers that are given in society is you go back to school or you work in a cubicle.
That's exactly what I did. As soon as I had the same exact fear as you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was as heightened because I know you have
Right.
your health issues and
Right.
that you need that now. For me, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be on mom's insurance anymore. I got to pay for it myself type of thing. Literally, my first check, I went to the school district because of
Right.
turning 26. And
That's almost what I did.
I kid you not, I got Kaiser through the school district, and my bill every month was $600.
Ooh.
I only brought home $1,000. Mind you, my rent was $950. So I was working 2 other jobs on top of that, and still going to school. So it's like it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
I want to say when I met you, you were working
4 or 5 jobs at that time.
4 or 5, right?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of everything.
But
But
you
I
go ahead.
No,
but
no,
you
go
had
ahead.
your life. You know, you were taking care of yourself.
yes.
At that
And
time.
how did that do on your mental health? To the point that I made earlier about like people don't want to go back to work because they can't.
I
know?
didn't want to go back to school once I got the job that I was working towards. I kind of worked sorry guys. I worked my way up through like the industry and then finally got with the company I need to get to, and I was able to basically from experience get the American job.
Sure.
Right.
4 years later, asking me if I love what I do, no.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that the Lord gave me that when He gave it to me because I did pray for it at the time. So
Right.
I don't want to dismiss the blessing.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like a rat race now. So I empathize with what you mean by turning
Yeah.
26. That's so real.
Yeah. And the thing that needs to be said too, 2016 has only been the last, what is it, 6 years? 8 years? Right?
Yeah.
Before that, it was you turn 18 or 20 or whatever it was. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Wow. Sayonara. Yep.
And like that's just an issue in of itself, right? Like you have to graduate high school and work now.
Yeah.
I'd probably be dead, and I mean that
No
wholeheartedly.
question.
Yeah.
Or I would be very mentally sick. And like furthermore, like a good transition would be like, because what I thought about when you guys were saying that is like, they try to keep you in the system,
Mm-hmm.
keep spending money,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, with BYU and oops, I could go for any university though.
Yeah. I mean, since I was 12 years old, I knew I wanted to be a nurse. And there was never, no other career ever crossed my mind. Because it was just like, and I know not everybody has that experience, but like that was my calling, and I just knew it. And so I got to said university that I had been dreaming of going to since I was 12. You know, that was just like my path that I made for myself.
Yeah.
I was going to move to this state, I was going to go to this school, and I was going to get into their nursing program, and I was going to graduate with my BSN, and just live this life that I was going to love. And I was thinking, oh, I'll meet some nice Mormon boy and whatever, and
Right, get
at
married,
school
yeah,
and
right,
get married
right.
and pop out 6 kids, and life's great.
You stay at home mom. Yes.
And this is another like little side note, but like God's plan is so much better than the plan that we make for ourselves.
So much.
Definitely.
Our
And
worlds
that's-
are so much bigger than we think they are.
And that
Yes.
was another lesson that I learned in this. But at said university, you get 2 tries to apply to their nursing program, and if you don't get in, you don't get in.
For life, there's no.
No,
Whoa.
that's it.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's how it is for every nursing school, but this one is particularly competitive.
Wow.
Okay.
And that didn't even really worry me at all.
Sure.
In high school, I was like, I just know that this is my path.
Yeah.
And so I finished on my prereqs, and go on my mission, full faith that, you know, God knows that this is what I want. He knows that I'm passionate about it. He knows that I'll be good at it. Like, he won't not let me have this.
Yeah.
Kind of like, maybe feeling entitled.
Yeah, of course.
But
God the genie.
I felt like I
call it.
was on God's errand.
Right.
On the Lord's errand, that like he would make it happen.
Yeah.
And I applied the first time, didn't get in, and I was like, you know what? I still got another try. Like, my GPA was not bad. I had healthcare experience. Like, I had
A lot
passion.
of healthcare experience.
And so, like, there's no way that I won't get in.
Yeah.
So I applied my second time. Me and my best friend applied at the same time. And, like, the week before I heard back, I just had
Who's
this...
Holly, by the way?
Yeah.
Holly. Shout out Holly.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
So we both applied at the same time, and we're, like, hoping that we both got in. It was her first time applying, my second time applying.
Shout out to her.
I know, she's the best. And just like, oh, that would be so fun. We'll be in the nurse program together. And didn't even really cross my mind that it wouldn't happen for me.
Sure.
And the week before I found out, I just had this feeling that, like, I didn't get in. And I just thought, like, oh, that's just, like, my doubts
fear.
or anxiety or whatever.
Right.
And we were at his grandparents' and aunt's house when I got the letter, and, you know, I went and opened it with him by myself, and I didn't get in. And that was, like, world crashing down.
Definitely.
And I have never, like, that was, like, the lowest of the lows. As far as, like, I had no idea what my life was going to look like. Because I had this plan.
Yeah.
That was going to happen. And it was going to take me where I wanted to go. And it felt like it was God's plan. And there was a good week that I was like, what's even the point?
Sure.
Like, why?
Sure. From here, yeah.
And trying to figure out where I was taking this.
What did they say in response?
And my options were change your major and stay at our school, or transfer to a different school.
What do you think they were pushing?
The numbers.
Of course.
Like, that's
Right.
what it came down to. Like, I looked at the stats of all the people that got accepted that semester, and my GPA was 0.05 lower than the average.
Wow.
0.05.
0.05.
And that is, like, so minuscule to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I know that God had a much different plan for me.
Yeah.
But what I kick myself on now is I only gave myself one option. And that was, you know, this university's nursing program was going to take me where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about other doors that had been placed in my path.
Right.
Until I had to.
Right.
And I, you know, my whole upbringing was like, okay, go to a 4-year college, and, like, that's just the way to be successful. And now I'm graduating from a technical college in 2 days. You know, like...
Can we clap it up for that?
thank you.
I just...
Congratulations.
But, like, I just had this, like, stigma about, like, technical college, like, because that was just not what my plan was.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wish that, you know, my generation, maybe, like, my world's generation, because, you know, I only knew my little world,
Right.
was more open about community college or technical college or,
Other
you know,
avenues.
other
opportunities.
options, other
Yeah.
avenues,
Yeah.
because that would have saved me so much anxiety and feeling worthless.
Yeah.
You know, like, had I considered that when you know what you want to do, when you have a passion, when you know where your value is placed and you know how you can add value because of who you are, if I had allowed myself to recognize that, like, I would have embraced that rejection letter.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I would have, you know, been much more okay with it
Yeah.
than I
You
was
would have
then.
saw it more of as an opportunity, more than an obstacle. And I always say that as people of faith, like, when God is on your side, obstacles are really opportunities. Because, I mean, you know, if you're watching this podcast, whoever you are, I just want to remind you that no one can honor you like God can. No one can bless you like God can. No one can give you peace like God can. Nobody can promise you a hope and a future like God can. And I just really want people of faith now to hear you, that your testimony, because this is a testimony to what God can do. Because I always use this statement, and my wife, hears it a lot. But if you want to make God laugh, tell God your plan, right?
Yeah.
And
Amen
you'll
to
find
that.
out the kind of comedian you are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that to me
You
is
don't have to be afraid. You can move it. It's all
Yeah.
good.
no. I
You
was.
took
I
it
just.
away.
I just know my voice is really, So, but I don't know how often we get disappointed and we devalue who we are, our uniqueness,
Yeah.
right? Our rare pieces, the things that are different about us that are, way different from everybody else. We don't see the value on that because of a letter from a university that was tripping off of 0.5.
Yeah.
You know,
0.05.
0.05, even worse. and that, and we attach ourselves to, our plans so much that when we don't get it, we get into this level of disappointment.
And then it's, I'm a failure. I don't have the worth. I don't have the value.
Right.
When our value should not be placed, the value that we feel of ourselves should not be placed on external worldly
Come on.
things.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you said something so key. You said in your world, you didn't know the value of the technical school or the community
Right.
school.
Right.
We, as adults, know value now.
Yeah.
We've been through different things, so it's our job to teach the next generation about their values. So if we teach them all of the options, they won't have to experience what we did, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's our job. Keep
Yeah.
on teaching them. Keep on getting the word out there through the word.
Right.
Also, life
testimonies.
experiences, our
Yeah.
testimonies. Just let's not be in our own boxes and keep to ourselves. Let's reach out to these younger generations.
Yeah.
I really want to stress something with that in the sense of I don't want to repeat the mistake of our fathers.
Yeah.
In a general sense.
Right. No, I mean my dad specifically.
Shout out to him.
shout out, big man. No, but
Well,
like,
if we repeated the mistakes of our fathers, where would our country, our world would not progress whatsoever?
and I guess the question that I'm trying to pose to the table is, how do you avoid the tradition like we were talking about earlier, of like a generation turning into TikTokers, right?
Right.
Versus how do we teach them the mistakes that we've made? Like how do we one have our children or the future generation avoid the mistakes that we made, and to not repeat what our fathers have done in the sense of I don't want to go to 4-year college, but yet my dad fathers preached that.
Right.
I personally don't know.
Well, you know what you did and didn't like from that experience. So now when you have kids, you can show them all of the options. I don't think you would repeat what you didn't
Right.
like going through
Say,
yourself.
hey, here's everything.
Exactly.
Rather, what happened in the past was here's this one thing that only works.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, they grew up in a world that didn't have opportunity. You gotta remember they grew up with way less resources than
Right.
we have.
Right. That's a good point.
You couldn't just, my dad always tells a story about a calculator, like how he had to slide his calculator when he was doing math as
Oh,
a
the
kid.
beads.
Remember those little things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think about how unequipped they were growing up, to where that one path probably was like literally the only path, to become successful or to see you have a strong family, and to me that is something we have to understand how to adjust and adapt with. I never thought that YouTube could be a teacher the way it is right
Absolutely.
now. Anything you really want to pretty much learn in this life, there's most likely a YouTube channel for it.
Definitely.
Or somebody who's willing to teach it or use their life experience to pour into your life. And I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think it's amazing. I think that it opens up the doors for our children to be able to not just have that one avenue to be able to become successful.
It's how I learned how to do all of this.
No
Really?
way.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
self-taught.
why did I always thought you went to school for this?
Well, I did, and I learned nothing.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
okay. Shout out to them.
No, yeah, shout out to YouTube.
Right.
No, for real though.
Yeah.
There's so many other, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess, we're kind of running out of time. We got a dinner date.
Oh, we do. We have reservations at a really
But
nice
we'll be
restaurant.
back to visit you guys.
We're
Absolutely.
celebrating
Yes.
Olivia's graduation.
Yes.
But to kind of I don't even want to wrap it in a bow because it shouldn't be. This is a conversation that will
temporary
never end.
We did
Yeah.
we did find a reservation for later though. Did you tell him that already?
It's about 15 minutes. That's it.
Okay. just-
Let him finish.
And that's my computer saying it's about to die. Anyway,
Oh,
so it's
oh.
perfect.
Okay.
So
Hey,
Nehemiah,
shout out to the computer. Yes, sir.
actually, I'm gonna have Deja do this one.
No.
I feel prompted. Deja, what in one sentence or one word
Okay.
was the one thing that gave you value in this episode?
In this episode,
And I'm gonna watch the computer while you do that.
okay. I want to say the family. I'm just gonna, because you said one word, so family.
Yeah. So important to.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. You guys.
Boom. Love
Bye,
you guys.
guys.
All right.
Value in the house.